I didn't want to be there. The community center's folding chairs dug into my back, and the circle of strangers stared at their hands like they could will the pain away. 6 months had passed since Elise's hit and run. 6 months since I had found her crumpled on a dark street, tires screeching into the night, no witnesses, no answers. I'd come to grief counseling because the silence at home was louder than my screams. That's when I saw her, Clara, across the room, her short dark hair framing a face that looked as hollow as mine felt. She didn't speak, didn't cry, just sat there, eyes locked on me like she knew me. I couldn't look away. We didn't talk that night or the next. But by the third session, I caught her lingering in the parking lot, her breath fogging in the cold. "Miles, right?" she said, voice low, like she was testing me. I nodded, hands shoved in my pockets. "Clara," she offered, and that was it. No small talk, no pity. We stood there, the quiet stretching, until she said, "Coffee." I followed her to a diner, and we sat, sipping burnt sludge, trading nothing but glances. She'd lost her husband, she said, hiking accident, body never found. Her fingers twitched when she mentioned him, and I wondered what she wasn't saying. It went on like that, parking lot talks, late-night calls where we barely spoke, just listened to each other breathe. I didn't know why I kept going back. Maybe it was her eyes, sharp and searching, or the way she didn't push me to spill my guts. But 3 weeks in, everything shifted. Rain hammered the roof as the session ended, and I found her outside, soaked, staring at her car keys like they'd betrayed her. "Need a ride?" I asked. She nodded, and we drove in silence, the wipers slashing through the downpour. When I pulled up to her place, she didn't move. Neither did I. She turned, her face inches from mine, and I saw it, hunger, desperation, something I hadn't felt since Elise. Before I could think, her lips crashed into mine, hard and reckless. I kissed her back, hands tangling in her wet hair, the car windows fogging around us. It wasn't gentle, it was a lifeline, a gasp after months underwater. We stumbled into her apartment, clothes hitting the floor, and fell into her bed, chasing something neither of us could name. Afterward, she curled against me, asleep, her breathing steady. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my chest tight with something I couldn't shake. Guilt, maybe, or a warning. I slid out of bed, grabbed my jacket, and that's when it happened. A slip of paper fluttered from my pocket, landing on the hardwood. I hadn't put there. I'd worn that jacket all night, hands buried deep, and no one had gotten close. I picked it up, my pulse kicking up. Scrawled in jagged ink, asterisk, she's not what she seems. Asterisk, my eyes darted to Clara, still asleep, her face soft but unreadable. Who wrote this? Someone from the group? I'd barely spoken to them. John with his nervous laugh, Sarah with her endless tissues, but they'd all been there tonight, watching us leave together. Or had it been slipped in earlier, at the diner or the gas station? My mind raced, replaying every moment. I stuffed the note back in my pocket, hands shaking. Clara stirred, murmuring something I couldn't catch, and I froze. Did she know I'd found it? Her eyes stayed closed, but that twitch in her fingers, the one I'd seen when she'd mentioned her husband, flashed in my head. What was she hiding? Elise used to do that too, fidget when she lied about late nights at work. I shook it off. Grief was messing with me, turning shadows into threats. But as I stood there, the room felt smaller, the air thicker, like someone else was watching. I didn't wake her. I grabbed my keys and slipped out, the note burning a hole in my pocket. Driving home, I kept glancing in the rearview, half expecting headlights to flare behind me. Nothing, just rain and empty streets. But that note wasn't nothing. Someone knew something about Clara, something I didn't. Was it about her husband's death? Or us, tangled up in this mess we'd started? I gripped the wheel tighter, my jaw clenched. I'd lost Elise to a mystery I couldn't solve, some bastard who'd sped off into the dark. I wasn't about to let another one creep up on me. When I got home, I locked the door, checked it twice, and pulled the note out again. The ink smudged under my thumb, but the words stayed sharp. Clara's face flashed, those eyes, that kiss, that twitch. I wanted her, needed her, but now I couldn't unsee it, the crack in her story, the shadow behind her silence. Whatever she was hiding, I'd find it, because if I didn't, it might find me first. I couldn't stay away from Clara, even after that note, asterisk, she's not what she seems, asterisk, burrowed into my skull, like a tick. It had been a week since I'd found it, a week of replaying her kiss, her touch, the way she looked at me, like I was the only thing keeping her afloat. We'd fallen into a rhythm, nights at her place, bodies tangled, words few. It wasn't love, not yet, just a desperate grab at something alive after Elise's death had hollowed me out. But every time I left her, that note's warning clawed at me, and I'd check my mirrors, my locks, my sanity. That night, she'd cooked pasta, simple, the first time we'd done anything normal. We sat on her couch, plates balanced on our knees, and she laughed, a rare sound, sharp and real. Elise loved this place, she said, nodding toward a cafe flyer on her table. I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. Elise. My Elise. You knew her? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Clara's eyes flicked to mine, then away. Met her at a library thing once, she said, too quick. She was nice. Her fingers twitched, that same damn twitch from a first night, and my gut twisted. She was lying. I knew it like I'd known Elise's excuses when she'd come home late, flushed and distant. I didn't push it. Not then. We finished eating, fell into bed, and I let her pull me under again. Her hands, her breath, the way she clung to me like I could erase her ghosts. But when she drifted off, I couldn't sleep. Elise's name hung there, a thread I couldn't leave alone. I slid out from under her arm, grabbed my jacket from the chair, and something slipped out, a photo, creased and worn, like it had been handled too much. I picked it up and my heart stopped. It was Elise, smiling, arm around Clara, both of them glowing at some event. Clara's lie echoed, asterisk, met her once. Asterisk bullshit. This wasn't a casual snapshot, this was intimate, personal. I stared at Clara asleep, her face soft but shadowed. How did she have this? Why keep it? My mind raced back to Elise, her late nights, her sudden silences, in those last months. Had she known Clara better than she'd let on? I shoved the photo into my pocket, my hands shaking. That note, was this what it meant? Was Clara hiding a connection to my wife, to her death? I needed air, needed answers, but I couldn't wake her, not yet. I slipped out, the photo burning against my chest, and drove home, my thoughts a tangle of suspicion and dread. When I got to my apartment, the door was ajar, just an inch, but enough to make my blood run cold. I'd locked it, I always locked it, a habit from nights after Elise died, when I'd sit up, waiting for the cops to call, with a lead that never came. I pushed it open, slow, my keys gripped like a weapon. The place was dark, silent, but wrong, like someone had breathed in it while I was gone. I checked every room, living room, kitchen, bedroom, nothing missing, nothing moved. But the air felt heavy, watched. I locked the door, slid the deadbolt, and stood there, listening to my own heartbeat. I pulled the photo out, studied it under the kitchen light. Elise's smile, Clara's arm around her, they looked close, too close for a one-time meeting. I flipped it over, and my breath caught. A date, scribbled in Elise's handwriting, 2 years ago, months before the hit and run. My wife's hand, marking a moment with Clara I didn't know existed. I sank into a chair, the note's warning screaming louder. Asterisk, she's not what she seems. Asterisk, had Clara been in Elise's life, my life, longer than I'd realized? Had she known about the crash, the driver who'd vanished? I grabbed my phone, scrolled through old texts from Elise, hunting for clues. Nothing stood out, just her usual working late, or at a friend's, but now they felt like lies, jagged edges I'd ignored. I thought of calling Clara, demanding the truth, but stopped. If she was hiding this, what else was she keeping? I checked the door again, still locked, but that didn't calm me. Someone had been here. The same someone who'd left that note? Or Clara, playing a game I couldn't see? I didn't sleep. I sat there, photo in hand, the pieces shifting. Clara's twitch, Elise's secrets, that unlocked door. I'd wanted her to fill the void Elise left, but now I wondered if she'd carved it deeper. Whoever had been in my place, whatever Clara knew, I was in it now, knee-deep in a mess I didn't understand. And the worst part, I still wanted her, even as I feared her. That pull was a trap, and I was already caught. I couldn't shake that photo, Clara and Elise, locked in a moment I'd never known, their smiles taunting me from 2 years back. It had been 3 days since I'd found it, 3 days since my apartment door had swung open like an invitation to trouble. I hadn't told Clara I'd taken it, hadn't asked her about Elise again. Instead, I'd watched her, every twitch, every pause, searching for cracks in the mask she wore so well. We still met, still fell into each other's arms, but now it was different. Every kiss felt like a question, every touch a step closer to something I wasn't sure I wanted to find. That morning, I skipped work, called in sick, let the architecture firm figure it out. I needed answers, not blueprints. I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, diving into Elise's old social media, stuff I'd avoided since the hit-and-run shredded my life. She'd been careful private, but I knew her passwords, her habits. I logged into her abandoned accounts, scrolling through posts she'd deleted before she died. My chest tightened as I found them. Buried rants she'd scrubbed. Can't trust anyone anymore from a year ago. She thinks I don't see her 6 months before the crash. She? Clara? I clicked on a photo. Her car, the one she died in, parked outside a cafe I didn't recognize. The caption was gone, but the date matched the one on Clara's photo. My hands shook as I opened another tab, searching that cafe. It popped up, a hole in the wall near Clara's library job. Elise had been there, maybe with her. I leaned back, the pieces jagged and sharp. Had Elise been hiding something, someone from me? I thought of her late nights, her excuses, how she'd pull away when I'd ask. I'd chalked it up to stress, but now it looked like betrayal. Clara's lie, asterisk, met her once, asterisk, rang hollow. She'd known Elise, deep enough to keep that photo, worn at the edges like a relic. I needed more. I grabbed my jacket, the one I'd worn to Clara's, and checked the pockets again, half hoping I'd missed something. My fingers brushed metal, cold and small. I pulled it out, a pawn ticket creased, dated a month after Elise's death. My breath caught. It wasn't mine. I hadn't pawned anything. The item? A man's ring, no description, just a number and a shop downtown. I didn't recognize it, but a chill crept up my spine. Elise had worn a ring I'd given her, simple gold, but this wasn't hers, it was a man's. Whose? I stuffed it in my wallet, mind racing. Had Clara slipped it in there? Or whoever had unlocked my door? That night, I went to counseling, the photo and ticket burning holes in my pockets. Clara sat across from me, her eyes catching mine, but I couldn't read her, calm or calculated. The session dragged. John droned about his dog. Sarah sniffled through her story, but I barely heard them. I kept scanning the room, wondering who'd left that first note. As it ended, I stood to leave, and something slipped under my chair. Another note, folded tight. I snatched it before Clara could see, my pulse hammering. In the car, I opened it, asterisk, dig into Clara's past with Elise. You're not the only one she's fooled. Asterisk, the handwriting was sharp, familiar, but I couldn't place it, like a memory half buried. I drove straight to the pawn shop, the ticket clenched in my fist. The guy behind the counter, a greasy type with a lazy eye, checked the number, then slid a ring across. Silver, heavy, engraved inside, asterisk DH. Forever. Asterisk, my stomach dropped. DH, David Hensley? Clara's husband, the one she'd said vanished on that hike? I'd never met him, never seen his stuff, but this was too close. How had it ended up pawned after Elise died? Had Clara done it? Or someone else, tying them together? I pocketed the ring, muttering a thanks, and bolted. Back home, I locked the door, checked the windows, nothing out of place, but the air felt wrong again, like eyes on my back. I sat with the ring, the photo, the note, piecing it together. Elise's posts, Clara's lies, David's ring, they weren't random. I grabbed my phone, called Clara's number, but stopped before it rang. If she'd hidden this, what else was she capable of? I looked out the window, and there a shadow, quick and gone, ducking behind a car across the street. My heart slammed against my ribs. Someone was out there, watching, waiting. I didn't sleep. I sat up, ring in one hand, phone in the other, the notes, words looping. Asterisk, you're not the only one she's fooled. Asterisk, Clara wasn't just grieving. She was a puzzle, a threat, tangled up with Elise in ways I couldn't see. And that shadow, it wasn't my imagination. Someone knew what I was chasing, and they were closing in. I had to find the truth before it found me. I couldn't wait anymore. The ring, the photo, those damn notes, they'd twisted me into knots, and Clara was at the center of it all. For days had passed since I'd seen that shadow outside, for days of pacing my apartment, jumping at every creak, piecing together a puzzle that cut deeper with every fit. I'd stopped going to counseling, stopped answering her calls. Her voice on my voicemail, soft and probing, felt like a lure now. I had to know what she was hiding, what she'd done. So I set a trap. I texted her that morning, asterisk, come over tonight. We need to talk. Asterisk, she replied fast, asterisk, okay 7? Asterisk, and I spent the day planning. I set my phone on the coffee table, recording app ready, angled so she wouldn't see. The photo of her and Elise sat beside it, David's ring in my pocket, heavy as a loaded gun. I didn't know what I'd get out of her, but I'd make her talk. By 6:55, my hands were sweating, my jaw locked tight. When she knocked, I opened the door, and there she was, dark hair mussed, eyes searching mine like she sensed the shift. "Hey," she said, stepping in, her voice too calm. "You've been quiet. Everything okay?" I didn't answer, just nodded her to the couch. She sat, legs crossed, watching me pace. I grabbed the photo, held it up so she couldn't miss it, her and Elise, arms around each other, smiling like they owned the world. "Explain this," I said, my tone hard. "You said you met her once." "This isn't once, Clara." Her face didn't change, but her fingers twitched, that telltale sign I'd clocked weeks ago. "Miles, she started, then stopped, eyes flicking to the photo. "Where'd you get that?" "Doesn't matter," I snapped, tossing it on the table. "You lied. You knew her, really knew her. What else are you keeping from me?" My voice rose, sharp, and I hit record on my phone, subtle as I could. She didn't notice, just stared at the picture, then at me, something shifting in her gaze, fear, maybe, or calculation. She leaned forward, elbows on her knees, and when she spoke, her voice was low, steady, chilling. "Fine. You want the truth. I loved her, Miles. Elise and we were together. For months, behind your back, behind David's. It started at that library event, and it didn't stop until she got scared, ended it. Then she died." Her words hit like a punch, each one sinking deeper. Elise, my Elise, with her. I'd suspected, dreaded, but hearing it was a blade twisting in my gut. "You're lying," I said, but it sounded weak, desperate. She shook her head, eyes locked on mine. "I'm not. And you know I'm not. But here's what you don't know." She paused, and the room went dead quiet, the air thick with something I couldn't name. "That night she died, the hit and run, I wasn't the only one who lost her. You were there, Miles. I found her journal after. She wrote about you following her, fighting with her about me. She ran into that street because of you." My knees buckled. I gripped the table, flashes hitting me. Elise storming out after I'd confronted her about late nights, me tailing her car, yelling through her window. She'd bolted, and I'd heard the screech, the thud. I'd run, told myself it was an accident, a stranger's fault. "No," I rasped. "I didn't." "You didn't stop her," Clara cut in, voice like ice. "And David, he knew too. Came to you, drunk, raging about me and Elise. You told me once you'd fought with someone that night by the river, before he vanished. I found his ring in your stuff, Miles. You let him fall." I froze, her words a noose tightening. David's ring. I hadn't pawned it, hadn't known how it had ended up in that ticket. But that night flooded back. Him at my door, slurring about betrayal, swinging at me. We grappled near the bridge, and he'd slipped, the current swallowing him. I'd walked away, numb, convincing myself it was fate, not me. Now Clara knew how. Had she dug through my life, pieced it together? She stood, stepping closer, her calm unnerving. "You're as guilty as I am. We both broke them, Miles. Sleeping with you? It was my punishment, knowing I was with the man who took her from me." Her eyes bored into mine, and I saw it. She'd planned this, lured me in, flipped the game. A knock, sharp, sudden, cut through the silence. We both froze. My phone kept recording, catching my gasp. "Who's that?" I demanded, but she didn't answer, just stared at the door. I grabbed a knife from a kitchen counter, hands shaking. "Get out," I hissed, backing her toward it. She smirked, like she'd won. "You can't outrun this," she said, then slipped past me, out the door. I slammed it, locked it, but the knock came again, softer, then stopped. I checked the peephole. Empty. My phone buzzed, the recording still rolling. I played it back, her confession loud and clear, but that knock, who'd heard? I looked out the window. No one, just darkness. Too easy. She'd left too easy. I sank to the floor, knife clattering beside me. Clara had torn me open, laid my sins bare, and someone else was out there listening. I wasn't safe, not from her, not from whoever was watching. The truth wasn't freedom, it was a cage, and I was trapped. I thought cutting Clara out would free me, but it didn't. 3 weeks had crawled by since that night, her voice on my recording, cold and cutting, laying bare my role in Elise's death, in David's. I deleted it, smashed the file into digital dust, but her words clung to me like damp rot. I'd quit counseling, stop leaving my apartment unless I had to, work, groceries, back. Every step felt watched, every shadow a threat. She hadn't called, hadn't texted, but her silence was louder than any scream. I'd beaten her at her own game, forced her out, but I didn't feel like the winner. I tried to claw back some normalcy. I took on extra projects at the firm, sketching blueprints until my eyes burned, anything to keep my hands busy, my mind off her. I burned that photo of her and Elise, watched the edges curl, their smiles blacken, hoping it'd erase the ache. It didn't. David's ring sat on my dresser, a taunt I couldn't toss. I'd started sleeping with a bat by the bed, jumping at every noise, the creak of the floor, the hum of a car outside. That knock from our fight echoed in my head. Who'd been there? Clara? Someone else. I'd checked the hall a dozen times since, found nothing, but the unease stuck. One night, I couldn't take it. I drove to Elise's grave. First time since the funeral. I needed to face her, to say something, even if it was just in my head. The cemetery was quiet, headstones glinting under a half moon. I knelt by her marker, tracing her name with my finger. I didn't mean it, I whispered, the words choking me. I didn't want you gone. A rustle behind me. I spun, heart slamming, and there she was. Clara, 10 feet away, hands in her pockets, staring at me. No shock, no words, just those eyes, sharp and unreadable. What are you doing here? I snapped, standing, my fists clenched. She didn't move, didn't flinch. Same as you, she said, voice flat. Saying goodbye. She stepped closer, and I tensed, ready to bolt. I'm not here to fight, Miles. We're done. Her gaze flicked to the grave, then back to me, a flicker of something, not anger, not sadness. Relief. I didn't trust it. Then why'd you come? I asked, my voice low, scanning her for a lie. She shrugged, turned, and walked off, disappearing between the stones. I stood there, frozen, waiting for her to circle back, to lunge out of the dark. She didn't. I drove home, checking my rear view the whole way. No headlights, no tail. But when I parked, a car sat across the street, black, lights off, engine idling. My pulse spiked. I grabbed my phone, zoomed in, empty, or so it looked. Then the engine cut, and it went still. I waited, 5 minutes, 10, no movement. I crept closer, bat in hand, but when I got halfway, it peeled out, tires screeching into the night. My breath hitched. Was that Clara? Someone else tied to her mess? I bolted inside, locked the door, and stood there, bat trembling in my grip. The next morning, an envelope slid under my door, no stamp, no name. I tore it open. David's ring, the one I'd left on the dresser, now cold in my palm. I checked. My dresser was empty. Someone had been inside, taken it, returned it. My stomach lurched. When? How? I didn't call the cops, couldn't. What would I say? That I'd fought David, let him drown? That Clara knew. Maybe sent this as a final twist? I sat with the ring, turning it over, the engraving, *DH. Forever, * mocking me. That night, the car was back, same spot, same silence. I watched from my window, curtains cracked, daring it to move. It didn't, not for hours, then vanished before dawn. I stopped sleeping, started pacing, the bat my shadow. Clara's words, *, you can't outrun this, *, looped in my skull. She'd walked away, but had she? A knock woke me one morning, sharp, insistent. I grabbed the bat, crept to the door, and peered out. Nothing, just an empty hall. I opened it, half expecting her, but found only air. My phone buzzed, a blocked number, no message. I didn't answer, didn't need to. Whoever it was, Clara, some ghost from her past, they were still out there, circling. I sank to the floor, ring in one hand, bat in the other, staring at the door. Elise was gone, David too, and I thought Clara was the end of it. But this wasn't over. Someone was waiting, and I'd never see it coming. Hey, you made it to the end of Miles's nightmare. What a ride, right? Who do you think's out there, Clara pulling strings, or someone else from this twisted web? Drop your guesses in the comments. I'm dying to hear them. If this kept you on edge, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories that'll mess with your head. Hey, you made it to the end of Miles's nightmare. What a ride, right? Who do you think's out there, Clara pulling strings, or someone else from this twisted web? Drop your guesses in the comments. I'm dying to hear them. If this kept you on edge, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories that'll mess with your head. Got a dark idea you want to spin next? Tell me below. Catch you in the shadows. Stay locked in.